Decoding India, the pulse of a nation. India is not just a country. It's a civilization, a contradiction, a question, a rhythm. In the glint of its high-rise cities, buzzing metros, billion-dollar tech unicorns, and space missions lies another India, quieter, older, and deeper. A place where time moves slower, where people still speak to the soil, where tradition breathes beside faith, and modernity exists like a passing visitor, not a master. That India is rural. That India is emotional. That India is the real India. This is an attempt to decode it. The beating heart lies in villages. Nearly 65% of India's population still lives in rural areas. These are not just geographical zones. They are emotional worlds. They are repositories of India's ancient memory, oral traditions, languages, and resilience. Walk into any village, from Rajasthan to Odisha, from Tamil Nadu to the Northeast, and you'll find an old peepal tree with stories, a woman carrying water on her head, her sari flowing in the wind, a farmer looking at the sky, reading monsoon like a scripture, kids running barefoot with joy cities forgot long ago. Rural India is where life is interwoven with land, seasons, and shared identities. It's where community still matters, where festivals are not consumerist breaks, but sacred collective experiences. India is agricultural, not just technological. India is the largest producer of milk, pulses, and spices. It feeds the world. Yet, it also feeds itself in a uniquely local circular way. In every state, food habits are dictated not by trends, but by soil health, monsoon cycles, cultural wisdom, generational memory. A Rajasthani grows bajra not because it's trending on Instagram, but because his land, his gut, and his grandmother told him so. Yet, despite the power of this agricultural backbone, farmers are among the most economically vulnerable groups. They are celebrated in poetry, but neglected in policy. That's India's paradox: reverence without rights. Faith is not a ritual, it's a language. India is often portrayed as a religious country, but that word is too small, too rigid. What rural India embodies is something deeper: faith as a way of life. You'll find a tulsi plant in every courtyard. You'll find hands folding before the sun. You'll find people breaking a coconut before starting a tractor. This isn't superstition, it's synchronization. There's no binary between science and spirit here. A villager can use GPS and still fast on Mondays for Lord Shiva. In rural India, the divine is not outside, but woven into the everyday. It's in neem trees, in cows, in rivers, in firewood, in stories. It's intimate, it's personal. The women of India are the silent architects. To decode India, you must see its women. Not in glossy ad campaigns, but in real fields and real kitchens and real decisions. Rural women. Wake up before the sun. Handle cattle, household, children, finances. Cook on chulhas and budget without spreadsheets. Carry emotional labor and literal water, both on their heads. They have less power, yet more influence than any policy can measure. They are the unacknowledged backbone of rural sustainability, the keepers of seeds, rituals, harmony, and home. And slowly, they are rising. In self-help groups, in micro-enterprises, in solar cooperatives. The rural Indian woman is not just surviving, she's rewriting her narrative. Language is a living river. India doesn't just speak one language. It sings, chants, jokes, and dreams in over 19,500 dialects and tongues. Rural India protects this diversity like a sacred duty. Each village has its lingo, its metaphors, its lullabies. Language isn't just a tool of communication here. It's a map of memory, its identity. Decoding India means understanding that Hindi and English don't capture even 30% of its emotional vocabulary. True understanding happens in Bhojpuri smiles, in Kannada poetry, in Assamese lullabies, in Gujarati proverbs. The land is sacred, but exploited. Ask any rural Indian what the land means, and they won't say property. They'll say, "It's my mother." Soil is not a commodity here, it's consciousness. Yet, India's soil is eroding. Water tables are falling. Fertility is being destroyed by chemical dependency. And farmers are caught in a cycle of loan, crop, uncertainty, repeat. India's future depends on reconnecting to its rural ecological intelligence. Regenerative farming, watershed management, seed sovereignty. These are not NGO buzzwords. They are survival codes. Celebration and struggle coexist. Rural India is where people celebrate with music even when there's no money. Where weddings are grand, even in the poorest homes. Where harvest festivals are bigger than any mall sale. This is not denial, it's resilience. People laugh louder when life is harder. People give more when they have less. This coexistence of joy and struggle is what makes India poetic, real, spiritual. Politics here is personal. In rural India, politics is not just ideology. It's water, it's electricity, it's dignity. People know their leaders. They discuss policies in tea stalls. They protest, demand, resist, not on Twitter, but in the panchayat. There's wisdom in the mud here, and anger, and hope. Real India isn't politically apathetic, it's deeply aware, but the platforms are different. The voice is softer, but not weaker. Migration and modernity are reshaping rural India. Young people are leaving villages in search of jobs. Cities are swelling, but what they carry with them is rural memory. Even the most modern Indian is still deeply connected to Gaon, in food, family, festivals. And those who stay behind are no longer behind. They have smartphones, they run YouTube channels, they track weather with apps. Technology is not replacing culture, it's being adapted into it. The real digital revolution in India is not in urban co-working spaces. It's in remote villages where a woman learns solar repair on WhatsApp. What is India really? India is not a monolith. It's not a slogan. It's not a binary between rich and poor, old and new, rural and urban. India is complexity, held together by emotion, by a deep instinct to survive, adapt, and honor life. You can't decode India through statistics alone. You have to walk its dusty roads, eat from its clay pots, listen to its folk songs, and sit in silence under its banyan trees. Conclusion: the pulse of India. The pulse of India doesn't beat in newsrooms or stock exchanges. It beats in the quiet strength of its farmers, in the grace of its women, in the stories of its elders, and in the questions of its youth. To decode India is to listen, not just with the mind, but with the heart. And once you truly listen, you'll hear the hum of an ancient civilization still alive, still becoming, still dreaming. This is the real India. This is TerraFrame's India. If this reflection helped you see India through a new lens, share and subscribe to TerraFrame for more stories that go beyond headlines. We don't chase trends. We decode truths. Join the journey as we explore the systems, soil, and soul that shape the future of humanity.